So, five balls. Definitely a bit of a milestone trick in a lot of juggling circles, and quite right so in some ways. What we're kind of going to look at today is some of the features of five balls and what makes it different to other patterns, in particular kind of the move up from three balls and four balls. Like what is it about the step up from three and four to five balls that is particularly tricky, and let's really getting to the bottom of what those challenges are and using that to create some pathways and some drills for moving on beyond that. Okay, so as I say, I've put a little document in the chat, so if you want that in front of you to make, then that might be useful, but it's not, you don't need to at all. Everything on that sheet I will say, but it can just, that might be useful for you afterwards as far as remembering what we've covered. Okay, so largely I've broken five balls, or specifically the challenges involved in five balls, up into four sections. Okay, the three are kind of characteristics of the pattern in a way, and then the fourth is actually getting started. Okay, so it might feel a little bit weird that we're going to cover starting five balls at the end, but you know, we want to kind of look at some patterns that we can do with three and four balls that are going to set up the right sort of habits to make five balls, you know, to create an entry point in five balls. Okay, so with that said, let's get started on the first one. Okay, so first thing I want to look at is speed. Okay, or hand speed is the kind of the important bit. Okay, so the number of throws that we're going to do in any given period. Okay, so five balls is a lot faster than most other things you'll have juggled at this point. Okay, assuming you're doing kind of a usual progression through tricks as people generally do. Obviously, different people juggle different things, but it's quite likely that five balls is the fastest thing anybody will have juggled by the time they get to that. Okay, if you compare it to a three ball pattern, so kind of average three ball pattern at the height that most people learn it at kind of no height. Okay, it comes out at about 120 beats per minute. Okay, so every 60 seconds you're throwing about 2 throws per second for that entire 60 seconds if you were to run it for a minute. Okay, now if we compare that to your average five ball height, it's somewhere a little warmed up. We compare that to your average five ball height up there, and you're looking at closer to 240 beats per minute. Okay, so in terms of raw hand speed, we're actually talking about a pattern that's twice as fast. Okay, which sounds intimidating. Okay, we've got to juggle twice as quick to hold a five ball pattern up compared to a three ball pattern. And obviously we've got four balls in between, but for now I'm just going to keep most of the comparisons between three and five, just because certainly with the other characteristics of the trick, the comparisons are much easier to make. Okay, but while we've got that increase in speed, it's not actually as bad as it sounds. Okay, there is a pattern that almost everybody's already achieved, which has the same hand speed as a five ball pattern, and that's the three ball shower. Okay, so your average three ball shower, while it feels very slow, you've got to remember that only one hand is actually doing the throwing in that pattern, as it will, doing the upwards throwing. So you're to get the same hand speed as a five ball cascade, you do pretty much what you'd naturally do in a three ball shower. Okay, so the hand speed itself is really quite achievable. Okay, so we've talked about the hand speed. In terms of what our aims are, obviously we're looking to be able to replicate the hand speed of five ball pattern, and the best way of kind of getting that going is through five ball flashes, which is something we did a few weeks back, and I'll just demo in a second. Five ball flashes with the thigh slaps again that we did a few weeks ago, and then with the three ball shower. Okay, three ball shower will pretty nicely map on to what a five ball cascade will feel like. And obviously we need to make sure we're doing right hand and left hand with that. Okay, and then I've put four ball shower on the list as well as just kind of to push beyond the hand speed. Once you get up to a 4-ball shower, particularly if you do it quite low, you're actually going to be going a little bit quicker than you would in a 5-ball cascade. So that kind of, really will push our hand speed and, push beyond what we actually need to do, which can in some ways make 5-balls feel quite slow. So I'm just going to demo those 4 patterns, and then everyone's going to have a minute to go off and just play with a few of them. A lot of these are things for you to work on in your own time outside, but I'm just going to give everyone a minute just to go off and try those few patterns. Okay, so I'll just show you what all 4 of them look like so that you've seen them, and then we'll all take a minute to try that. Okay, so 5-ball flashes. So juggling 3 balls, we're looking to go 1, 2, 3 up into the air, and then back down into a 3-ball pattern. So do the same, start out the left hand. So out the right and out of the left. Okay. Really making sure that we're throwing at a full 5-ball height, which could be somewhere maybe a half an inch above our head. Okay. The next one, 5-ball flashes with side flat, and it down a fraction, so you can see the legs, you can see what's going on. So we're going 1, 2, 3, and slapping with the opposite hand. Okay, so if we start right, left, right, then the first slap comes out of our left hand, and the last one with our right. So right, left, right, and then we get the 2 side slaps to mirror those missing balls. Okay, so that's us working at 5-ball hand speed, as I say, just because we're throwing tight foot 5 and we're leaving space to the 5 slaps. 3-ball shower, we want an asynchronous shower. So what you don't want to be getting into is a sync shower. You can actually do a sync shower much lower because we're throwing both hands at the same time. So we want to have an asynchronous shower where the one from one hand is happening on the second beat after the 5 coming out of our right hand. Okay, and we also want to try that from both sides to make sure that both our left and our right hand are throwing 5. Okay. So that's the 4, well, the 3 patterns. The fourth pattern of being 4-ball shower. So it's the same but more. That's definitely more of a development and a place that you can do. If anyone's got any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and shout out. But otherwise, let's take a few minutes to go off in our own time, have a go at a few of those. I'll just give you a couple of minutes. You might not necessarily get through all of them right now. I just want to give you a minute just to test them out and just make sure if you've got any questions or anything that isn't clear in those couple of patterns. Francis, with your flashes rather, just be aware of not letting your hands drift up. Okay, when you're juggling the 3, you want to make sure you keep your pattern nice and low to give you space to get up into the shower. Okay, your hands are into the flash rather. Your hands are having a little tendency to drift up, and then you kind of run out of space to go with it. So really try and blow everything down before you go into it. Does that make sense? Excellent. Great. I'm seeing lots of great shower work going on. As far as people, if you find yourself with a bit of a challenging left hand when it comes to 5 balls, I'd say a 3 or a 4 ball shower is definitely one of the best drills you can be working on, just to really get that hand speed up to scratch on your left hand. Often people will find that their right hand is really nice and sharp and fast, because we're used to doing things with our dominant hand and it being really sharp and accurate and quick. But those attributes aren't always there with our left hand or our less dominant hand. So left-handed shower or or non-dominant showering can definitely be one of the best drills for that particular thing. So I'll just give you one more minute just to finish off what you're doing, and then we'll come back to it together. And if anybody's got any questions or anything that wasn't clear, then feel free to shout them out. The last 30 seconds to do a bit of left-handed shower myself. Very good. Excellent. Let's come back together. How did we get on? Did anything come out of that? Any queries? Anything that wasn't clear? Any astounding moment of clarity and the whole world making sense and slotting in place?
Keeping my hands down. Good point.
Very good.
That tip helped me loads as well. I listened in and yeah, Flash just started working.
Excellent. Great. Really good.
Asynchronous shower, not just to do synchronized throws, is good.
Yeah. Yeah, you realize how much more space you need then all of a sudden, don't you? You go to asynchronous and your pattern just grows up to a full 5 ball height automatically.
Yeah, it does from left-handed anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because I mean, if you're moving from asynchronous, or rather going from synchronous to synchronous, when you're doing a synchronous shower, yeah, like in terms of the site swap, you're kind of throwing like a 4x, 2x. So you're only throwing site swap 4 to make this pattern work. If you go to async, and you have to be throwing 5-1, so you're going to be throwing a 5 ball height. And it's, I mean, you can kind of cheat it, but you've got to really work hard to not be throwing an actual 5 ball height. So yeah, really good to make sure you're throwing an async shower. Cool, excellent, good work. So the next thing we're going to look at is accuracy. Okay, so as they say on the sheet there's an interesting thing that you can look at, which is that if you look at the kind of density of balls within the space you're juggling, and you compare your average 3 ball cascade, which is kind of nose height, chin height, that sort of region, with the 5 ball height up above your head, and you look at how many balls are in the kind of allotted space, the amount of space per ball doesn't actually change much. Okay, they're very, very comparable. You're looking at what is it? I just actually have an index. It's about 0.25 of a square meter for a whole 5 ball pattern. So it comes out at about 0.05 0.05 square meters per ball in a 5 ball cascade, and about the same in a 3 ball cascade. So it's not about how much space is in the pattern. That doesn't change much at all. But what does change is the window that you've got to throw those balls through. Okay. If a way of thinking about it is when you're throwing this arcing ball, imagine you're throwing it from your hip. So imagine you're throwing it from your hip. Okay, with a 3 ball cascade, you're throwing it up to chin height, about 0.5 meter, okay? And we say that the range we can catch it in is basically as long as our arm, okay? So it's longer than our arm, and we're definitely going to catch it. We're probably going to catch mix things before that as well, but it's like a lowest standard. That's what we're going to throw. Now, to hit that range of options, okay, we've got to throw it through a window. Okay, we've got this window which is basically the crossing point of our pattern. Okay, it's where all of the balls intersect. Okay, and we have to make sure that window aligns with the trajectories that are going to allow us to catch the ball. Now we can look at that for 3 balls, and we can do exactly the same for 5 balls. And the funny thing is, actually, again, the window that we throw the ball through for 5 balls is actually a little bit bigger than it is for 3 balls. We've actually got a bigger space to aim for. The problem is obviously that it's further away. Okay, our intersection on the 5 ball pattern is higher up in the air. Okay, and if I just juggle 3 and then juggle 5, you'll see that. Okay, our intersection on a 3 ball cascade, okay, somewhere around about my sternum, down here. Okay, the intersection point on a 5 ball cascade is now up above my head. Okay, it's probably about 10-20 centimeters above my head. Okay, so while that window, that space we can throw through is bigger, it's up here. Okay, so when we look at it in reality, the distance the further distance away means we actually have to be about twice as accurate. Okay, in a 3 ball cascade, any single ball you throw has about 15 degrees of variation that you can throw it through, and it's still be catchable even without moving your feet. That's assuming you're catching it full extent and what have you, and that all the balls stay on one side of your body and the other balls stay on the other side of your body. So you've got about 15 degrees, okay, of variation. When you go to 5 balls, that goes down to about 7 or 8 degrees. Okay, so we're looking at about twice the accuracy that we need to be throwing and maintaining a 5 ball cascade. Okay, and every throw has to be to that criteria. So accuracy is something that we definitely need to make sure is correct with 5 balls. The accuracy isn't there, you're going to be throwing outside of that window that allows them to be catchable. Okay, and that's even before we start talking about collisions. Okay, of the ball, you can be throwing within the window, but if it's in the same part of the window as another ball, then we've got a problem. So this is all best case scenario. Okay, so that is why accuracy is challenging. Okay, yeah, that window of opportunity is so much further away. Okay, so what do we want to achieve? We want to be throwing accurate throws, and accurate throws for us means 2 things. It means throwing them to the correct height. Okay, that kind of 50 centimeters above our head that we're talking about, so every ball is arriving at the same height. Okay, and then it also needs to be spatially in the right sort of place. Okay, our crossing point wants to be nice and symmetrical above our head, and make sure our left and our right are doing the same sort of things. Okay, so what can we do to improve that? Okay, I've got 3 patterns written down here. Okay, all look really similar actually. So let's decode the type one. So 5-2-2, the first one. 5-2-2 is a nice slow cascade. Okay, it's height 5 throws with then 2 pauses afterwards. Okay, and this is just going to really lock in that we're throwing height 5 throws as we're hoping to. Okay, and just really being very deliberate about the accuracy of those throws. We shouldn't be moving our feet. We shouldn't have to be moving our arms too much. We want the ball to come down to our hips. Well, I hope you catch it. Okay, so that's our first pattern with 3 balls. Okay, our second pattern, okay, also with 3 balls, with 5-3-1. Okay, so we throw a 5 with our first hand, we throw a 1 with our second, and then a 3 with our second, and then we've got a 1 along the bottom. Okay, so if we run that, it becomes this pattern. Okay, now this pattern in itself is essentially just a slightly more complicated version of 5-2-2. Okay, and the reason that that's going to be really useful for our accuracy is it's going to test our accuracy in a situation where we're now thinking about something else as well. Okay, you'll find it's quite nice to stand there and do 5-2-2 and just thinking about some 5. But if we all of a sudden give ourselves a little 3-1 think about the spot of the pattern, that's going to really put our 5 under a bit of stress. Okay, and just making sure that we can be accurate with a little bit more of a challenge. Okay, this pattern will come to people, if you haven't juggled it before, it'll take a little bit of work, okay? It's not going to come straight off, okay? It's a good trick to progress towards and to be working on, to really, yeah, as I say, to be giving you something else to be working on while those fives are getting nice and consistent, okay? Five final pattern, the four-ball pattern, 5-5-2, okay? And it's a little bit, it's a version of 5 balls with a gap, okay? This is going to be the same pattern that can start to look like 5 balls, okay? And it's going to be just throwing them the same accuracy, okay, but with a little bit more regularity. There's more fives in this pattern, so we're throwing them a bit more. We're starting to push into the consistency side of things, which we're going to get into even more in the next section. Okay, so 5-2-2. If you want to get into it, it's actually kind of easier to start with 3 in one hand, and start with like a 5 and then a 5 again from the same hand. And that'll get us in. Okay. Okay, so as far as the sensation of juggling it, you've got 5 and then 5 again on one side, and then you put the other hand and you've got 5 and then 5 again. Okay, so it's like a galloping pattern. You do 2 from the right, 2 from the left, 2 from the right, 2 from the left. I'll just run that once more so you can just see. And again, we're just making sure that all our 5s are exactly where we want them to be. Up at that nice 50 centimeters above our head sort of territory, and coming down to be caught nice and easily by our hips. Okay, so that's the 3 patterns. I'm going to again give everyone a couple of minutes to go off and just have a look at a selection of those. Any questions at all, any uncertainties, just give unmute yourself and give me a shout, and I'll be having a look at what's going on. Nice, Rianne. Yeah, just keep that 3 nice and low. Your first one, the 3 is really low, and then on the second and third one, your 3 is just getting a fraction higher. So just keep that 3 nice and small. Always a nice little distraction from the 5. So Molly, keep your 3s nice and low. Your 3s are just creeping up a little bit. Nice, Peter, it's coming. Excellent. Great. I'm just going to pause everyone there and check in how we've been doing. What came out of that? Any challenges? Anything that clicked?
I'm going to practice the 5-5-2-2.
5-5-2, the full ball one.
Yeah, 5-5-2. Is it?
Yeah. It's a really good drill. A really good drill.
Is the 5-5-2 essentially the same as doing two snakes at the same time? That's kind of what mine feels like. I feel like I just
Yeah,
do
yeah,
two
it is a
snakes.
little bit. It is a little bit.
Yeah, I was wondering if I was putting the space in the right place. I wasn't quite sure.
Do you wanna juggle it for a second and have a look? Yeah, so the space is there. You're just warping the rhythm of it a little bit. So you want to be able to, you want to hear dun dun, and then there's the gap there, and that's what you want to be really looking for. If you listen to it landing into your hands, I find it makes a lot more sense. If you have dun dun one side and then dun dun the other side, so you're switching over a little bit slow. When you're going over to the other side, the throw should come straight after the one before rather than leaving a gap there. Yeah, that's looking better. Looking better. Cool. Great. I'm going to move on to the next section. There'll be a bit of time at the end where I'm just going to let people work on, whatever people are working on, and we can troubleshoot more of these in that way. So the third section, consistency. Okay. So consistency in a way deals with two things. Okay. The main one I want to talk about is kind of the connectedness of the whole trick. Okay. Now, this connection through the whole trick is going to be almost certainly quite a new thing. Okay, for people that are just working on 5 balls for the first time. 5 balls is likely to be one of the first tricks that they're going to come up against. Okay, and I'm going to show you what I mean by it. So, when we juggle a 3-ball cascade, okay, at any particular moment, we've got one ball in each hand, and then we've got a ball that's going to decide that it's pending, okay, in the air, and it's coming into either our left or our right hand, okay, but ultimately it's pending, it's coming in, okay, so we can basically say that's true at all times. Okay, at the exchange point, there's a little bit of a like in between moment, but functionally we can say that at any time, one ball in each hand held, and another ball pending that's on its way. Okay. Now, what this means is that because we've just got this one ball pending, we want to change the height of our hand. We can do it, and each ball is completely independent. Okay, we can even change the position, okay, of our pattern. And again, everything is independent. Okay, we throw a high one, but this can stand there and wait for it to come down. We don't need to do anything else. We don't have to be active in our correction in that way. We just wait for it to come, and then we carry on. Okay, and everything can be changed as and when we want. Okay, when we go to 4 balls, okay, we've got one ball in each hand, and again we've got one ball pending in our right hand, and this time we've got one ball pending in our left hand. Okay, one ball above each hand on its way down. Okay, now so that means when we're juggling, if we want to change the height of one hand, we can do. Okay, and again we don't have to be active in our correction. We just wait for it to come down. All of the balls are essentially independent of each other. Okay, it doesn't matter what one hand is doing or what the other hand is doing. They're free to totally remix as and when they want. Okay, there's no relationship between them in that sense. They just come when they come, and they can shift and walk, and it doesn't matter. When we get to 5 balls, this is the main thing that changes. Okay, this is arguably out of all 3 areas the thing that I think probably the most challenging for people learning 5 balls. And it's that all of a sudden we find we've got a connection that goes right through the whole pattern. Okay, This is true with some 3 and 4 ball patterns. Okay, there's certain side swaps that we can juggle, and we'll talk about a few of them in a minute, that have these connections through. But as far as base patterns, 5 is when the crops up. And the reason for that is, we look at our hands now, we've got 1 ball in each hand. Okay, that's our first two. We then have 1 ball pending in each hand. Okay, and then finally, one of our hands has a second ball pending. Okay, so in this case, my right hand now has 1 ball in its hand, and it has 2 balls on the way to it. Okay, it doesn't have 1 now, it has 2. And because we've got that cue, okay, the ball heading towards his hand, I mean, I can't just change the height of 1 throw without affecting the rest of the pattern. Okay, and this is going to filter through the whole pattern. Okay, any change I make to the height of the throw is going to filter through everything. And so if I change the height of 1 ball, I'm going to have to in some way change the height or relationship to the rest of the pattern. Okay, we can see that now. If I juggle 5, okay, and I throw 1 higher throw, I have to make the whole pattern go with it. And again, if I come down low, I have to come down lower, okay, to bring the rest with it. Okay, I can start doing like weird winky things, but it's like, as far as the base pattern goes, realistically, the whole pattern has to go with it. Okay, we can't have one hand off doing one thing and another hand doing another thing. And again, if we throw 1 up, we can't just wait for it without changing to a different side swap or allowing the balls to come down in a different order. We want to maintain the order of the cascade. We have to make the whole pattern go with it. Okay, so all of a sudden we've got this whole pattern complicity that just didn't exist with our 3 and 4 back ball patterns. Okay, so what do we need to do about that? We need to find whole pattern connectedness. Okay, and this in part comes through consistency. Okay, and in part comes through in a connected way, learning how to correct. Okay, how to make these small micro corrections that mean when your consistency perhaps isn't quite there and 1 throw is a little bit higher or slightly too far out to the left or slightly too far out to the right or far away from your body, learning how to adapt the whole pattern to take that into account and to go with it to be able to make the correction in a way that we just simply didn't have to do with our 3 and 4 ball patterns beforehand. Okay, so we've got a few drills here, a few patterns that are going to start to give us a sense of that. Now, these out of the patterns we've done so far, these are definitely the most challenging ones. Okay, these take a bit of working at because they are tapping into a kind of an element of juggling that we just haven't really had to deal with yet. Okay, it hasn't existed in most of the 3 ball patterns, and to a certain extent, a lot of the 4 ball patterns you might have come across. Okay, so let's just rattle through them. So the first one, 5, 5, 5, 1. We're starting to see a lot of 5s in our side spots. Okay, they're going to these are really great 5 ball drills. In part because they give us these, really good practice with, for instance, 5, but then also for the connections that we can talk about. So the first one, 5, 5, 5, 1, 5, 5, 5. Okay, so if you're in a right hand guard, I'm starting right-handed, I'm going right-handed 5, left-handed 5, right-handed 5, and then we've got this 1 across the bottom, starting from 2 in each hand. Okay, so it makes this pattern that looks a lot like 5 balls, and it feels quite a lot like 5 balls as well. Okay, so we want to be learning that first. We also want to learn it left-handed. Okay, so we're going to on both sides. Slightly changed on my left hand, but we'll not talk about that too much. And then the next, and that leads us nicely into the next pattern afterwards. Okay, the next one after 5, 5, 5, 1, 4. Okay, so that 4 is essentially us just dropping down into the 4 ball cascade just long enough to swap sides and do it on the other side. So that kind of gives us a 2-sided version of this trick. Okay, you could also do it with an extra 2 4s afterwards if you wanted. So you could juggle it as 5, 5, 5, 1, 4, 4, 4, and it would just give you a couple of extra beats to correct themselves. Okay, so this can come straight out of the 4 ball cascade. So that would give us this thing. Okay, so as far as like whole pattern connectedness, both of these patterns have that exact feature that we're looking for in our 5-4 pattern. Okay, and these are in general slightly easier patterns than 5. The only thing that makes these arguably more difficult than 5 is the fact that you're throwing throws of different relative heights within one pattern, which is always a bit challenging. But if you were to set somebody off to learn these patterns with 5 balls at the same time, they would learn these ones first, which is a lot of people haven't interested. So next little pattern, 4-5 followed by a 0. If you set 5 balls, essentially 5 balls with a gap. You can just keep throwing the balls up until you run out of balls, and then you have this gap. So that's that one that is already ambidextrous, so it does your left and your right, it alternates, so don't need to worry about that. And then I've got one at the end in brackets. Okay, now this one feels least like 5 balls, but is arguably the best one as far as having a connected pattern. Okay, this is a little bit like a little side recipe if you want, because as I say, it's not strictly speaking a 5-ball drill, it's a pattern connectedness pattern. Okay, and it's 5-3-4. So it's a 4-ball pattern again, starting with the 5 in the right hand, left-handed 3, and then right-handed 4. Okay, which gives us this. Okay, it's like a big brother of 5-3-1, this pattern, and it's got the same sort of features going on. But this is a pattern that you really have to have the whole pattern connected together, because if you create any inconsistencies in it, it falls apart quite quickly. So it's a great pattern to learn for as far as bringing your whole pattern together. So that's the 4 patterns that I'm going to give everyone a couple of minutes to have a little look at. As I say, they're challenging patterns. Okay, they're definitely tricky patterns. So do not be worried if they're 5-5-5-1. If you can just get those 5s into the air and begin to even think about the 1, then the ball can start for now. And so go and have a little play with them. Anything that's not making sense, give me a shout. If you're really not sure, then feel free to recap some of the patterns we've already been looking at as well. Good, Harley. Nice, Rianne. Right, I'm seeing some great work on these. 5551's really starting to hit for some people I can see. You're getting really nice and consistent fives, which is the real trick to this. Okay, if your fives are different height, then it's an incredibly difficult pattern to pull off. So that's looking great. Cool, I just want to bring everyone together for a minute. I've got one more section, but I'm also aware that it's 1:45. So I just want to create space if anybody does need to disappear. I've got probably about 10, more than 10, less than 15 minutes worth of stuff. If anybody needs to disappear, then obviously you've got the notes of the sort of stuff I'm going to cover in the last section. And by all means, send me an email or what have you with any questions on it. But if anybody does need to disappear, that's completely fine. But otherwise, I'll carry on. Everyone seems to be settled. Okay, cool, great. So yeah, as I say, some challenging patterns in there, and you know, in some ways, some of them are more difficult than 5/4 itself. But if you can really push on with them, really glue your patterns together nicely and really build that 5/4 consistency. While also doing a little bit of work on the side of, you know, having excellent control about having throws of different heights within one pattern, okay, which gives you a whole branch of extra 4 and 5/4 patterns that you can be working on once you've got that control, of, you know, making sure that all the heights are very discrete, which is going to allow those patterns to happen. So the final section, and also the first section in many ways, is starting. Okay, how do you get the balls into the air? Okay, so we've done a lot of work now with 3 and 4 ball patterns to really look at the building blocks of 5. But let's actually get 5 balls in our hands and have a look at that. Okay, so the challenges with 5 balls, there's a lot of them and they've got to fit in your hands. Okay, where are they all going to go? So 2 balls people have generally solved already by this point. Okay, 3 balls in one hand is probably the new thing. Okay, we definitely want a triangle. We don't want a straight line. People who've got particularly small juggling balls find they can kind of do this, and it works for a little bit, and then it stops working. Okay, so let's really try and go for a triangle. I leave a little fingers width gap between these 2 balls. Okay, and I just find that gives me a little bit more control. But what you're going to find is that you've got 2 balls, and you've got the third one kind of perched on a little bit. Okay. You know, you might get, hopefully, if you've got small juggling balls, you'll be able to get a good grip on this. Okay, I've got quite big juggling balls. Okay, and with my other ones, they're even bigger again. So it's slightly perched on top. Okay, it's always a little bit precarious, and that definitely gives us our first challenge when it comes to juggling 5. Okay, the second challenge, and if you've got quite heavy juggling balls, is the thing that you notice, is getting the first ball out of your hand. This is quite heavy. Okay. You've got 3 balls in this hand, and so it is, you know, physically and in a very muscular way, the hardest ball to throw. Okay, usually when we're juggling, we're catching 1 ball and throwing 1 ball. Okay, all of a sudden we've got 3 balls in this hand that we have to move. Okay, and what that tends to create is an urge to do kind of a ramping up within the pattern, where they throw the first one really high and then get into it. Okay. The obstacle that's going to give us is it's going to make it more challenging to build a nice regular pattern. Okay, we want a pattern to be on a nice even rhythm. Okay, so that's the thing that we're going to have to look out for. Okay, other challenges, obviously, we haven't got an established rhythm yet. Once you're already juggling, you've got the rhythm that you're juggling at. Okay, before you start juggling, you haven't got that yet. You don't at this point have like an internal metronome of we're going to be looking for all the throws to go to the same height. That's going to build this metronome. We want to play around with this grip until we find something that works well in our hands, okay? And even just standing and throwing one ball backwards and forwards, making sure that we're throwing it at that 5-foot height is an excellent drill to get started with, okay? You know, just getting that first ball out of our hands, okay? The second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, in general, will come out the hand fine as long as we're doing the other things correctly, okay? But that first ball is always going to be the challenging element, the bit that makes this particular step hard, okay? Getting that first ball out of the hand cleanly without it getting smashed, okay? So if anyone's got the sheet in front of them, don't worry if you haven't, I've put a whole run of progressions down, okay? It's like a suggested order for getting basically up to the point that we're getting close to a qualifier, okay? Getting up towards 10 catches, okay? So it's very thorough right through to 5 catches. And then after that, we're just looking to add extra catches onto the end, okay? I'll just talk through them just to give you a sense of the kind of logic of that, and then it's the sort of thing you can work through in your own time. It takes a little bit of time to go through it and kind of work through it. So I'm not gonna stand and make everyone feel self-conscious while they work through it on this time. But I'll just briefly talk through it so you can understand the structure. Okay, so catching the first ball of a pattern is always easier than catching the last ball. Okay, the reason for that is throwing the first ball well is completely irrelevant to whether you come in with the right rate or with the right rate or tempo of the whole pattern. Catching the last ball tends to mean that you've at least thrown the pattern at a half decent speed. Okay, they come out of your hands at the right sort of rate. Your hand speed is correct. Okay, so we're going to alternate between them two ideas. So step one. Step one. Okay, is just flashing onto the floor. Get 5 balls up into the air, and then what you should be able to do, you should be able to stare down at the feet, and you're hoping to find 3 balls for each line across, so 1 for 2 balls beside the other one. Okay. The other thing is you put your finger on the microphone as well, looking for nice even rhythm. Okay, I'm going to throw one again, and we should hear 5 nice and even spaced beats. Okay, pretty easy. Okay. So we can do that a little internal check for ourselves that they're coming down at a nice even cadence. Okay, that's a really good thing to be checking at this point. Okay, you know, it's nice to do it onto your bed because then you don't have to reach down and what have you. But it's always good to do some a couple on the hard floor, just so you're really hearing that nice rhythm on the floor. Okay, it's a really excellent way of just checking in with your heights. Okay. Obviously, you'll see it as well as you're throwing them. You can see where all the balls are going. You should see a nice symmetry between our left and the right hand. And again, all coming to the same sort of height. Okay. If you've got another juggler around of similar or slightly higher ability, doing a flash to a friend is a really good skill. Obviously, I know that's not available for everyone, but if you do have somebody around, excellent thing to do. Stand in front of each other, get your hands really close together. So you should almost be fingernail to fingernail. One person's going to flash the 5 balls, the other person's going to stand and catch them. Okay? If you stand and do that back and forth between the 2 of you, then one person only ever has to think about half of the operation at any one time. So it's a great little drill if you've got somebody around. But totally not essential. Just thought I'd shout it out because it's such a good one. If it's possible for you. Okay, next up, we're looking to catch the last ball, okay, and only the last ball. So what that looks like, it looks very similar to what we've just done. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we stick our hand out, okay, and not up high. I'm going to demo down by our hips. We're looking to catch that last ball before it comes down to the floor. Okay, last ball. Okay, next one, catching the first ball. Okay, definitely more challenging because now we've got to make sure all of our hands are empty before we do that. Okay, if with that other one, I could have cheated it basically by doing it really slowly. Okay, and first we'll do that, and that's no problem. Okay, and I still caught the last ball. Now, obviously, I want to catch the first ball, and so I can't do that. Okay, I have to get all of the balls out of my hand if I want to catch the first one. Okay, so that's the kind of progression in there. Catching the last ball first, because you have all of this time, and then later on looking to catch the first one, because all of a sudden you've got to get balls out of your hands. Okay, and then I'll leave you to look at this on the actual document rather than laboriously going through it. But then we're looking to progress to catching the last 2 balls, and then the first 2 balls, and then the last 3 balls, and then the first 3 balls. Okay, so alternating from front end of the pattern to back end of the pattern as we progress up. Okay, so always catch it, always doing the end of the pattern first. Okay, and we can really progress through the whole pattern this way really nicely, and it will give us that balance between getting the first 3 balls out of our hands quickly enough to be able to catch something, while also learning to collect. Okay, obviously when we're running a 5-ball pattern, we essentially never have to collect, but it definitely makes life easier if we can stop. Okay, it just makes practicing easier. It becomes less of a backbreaker if you're not having to pick up every single ball every single time. To kind of gradually learn to collect is a good sort of skill. And obviously from there we're going to get up to flashes and beyond. Okay, is that making sense as a structure? Is anything in that unclear? No? Okay, cool. So with that said, I'm just going to give everyone a few minutes to go off and wherever you're up to in your 5-ball journey. I want to give you some time just to work on that, and I'll have a little look and kick in for various people. Okay, so if you're working on a flash, then you can start working through them steps, and you've got the document on it. If you've got a fairly solid already pattern, then you can maybe look back at some of the side swap patterns from the earlier steps to look at smoothing out that 5-ball pattern, etc. etc. Any questions? As I say, just mute yourself and shout up. And otherwise, I'm going to have a little check in with where everyone's up to, and I'll give individualized pointers as necessary. Okay.
Cheers, Lee. That was excellent. Some really nice things to think about. Well presented.
Excellent. Cool. Nice to see you, Peter.
I'm away.
Great. I'll see you again.
Bye, Peter.
I've got a question.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a dilemma between, how many throws and catches can I do?
Mm-hmm.
And the dilemma of collecting them.
Yeah.
Like I want to do a long run, but then eventually I don't collect anything because they land on the floor.
Yeah. It definitely is a dilemma, and I would leave it as a dilemma in some ways. But what's good to do is to be deliberate in any particular run. I think it's really great to have a mixture of those 2 elements in your practice. So you have some where you go, okay, I'm going to try and I'm going to stand here and I'm going to do 10 catches, and then I'm going to collect. Just being really definite about that, and then contrasting that with occasionally, okay, I'm going to run until I drop. Okay, because what running until you drop is going to do is it's going to really get all of them corrections, really sharply. Okay, if you're thinking about collecting, there's a slight tension. Okay, that's gonna, the slightest thing goes wrong and you stop the whole pattern rather than learning those really valuable skills of, how to catch one behind your ear and get back into the pattern and re-establish the shape. So I would really keep that as an open dilemma and play with both sides of it, because they're both really valuable skills.
I think when I was first doing 5 balls, which was a really long time ago, we used to do pyramid training.
Mm-hmm.
So we would do maybe like 25 times 5 throws and catches, 20 times 10 throws and catches, 15 times, however many, and then like try and do, I don't know, 5 times of 50 catches or whatever, 30 catches, whatever it was. So we tried to do like a pyramid training thing. Yeah,
it's a really nice structure. Yeah, I do a similar version sometimes where the equivalent in 5 balls will be, okay, I'm going to do a flash, Now I'm going to stop. Okay, now I'm going to do 6 catches. Okay, and I catch it. If I drop, then I go back down the step and I'll do the flash again. And you keep trying to, and you kind of laddering up and down and up and down. And obviously you get rewarded with consistency. And if you drop, then you have to go back a step and repeat. So there's that's a structure I use. But yeah, the ladder approach you suggest this sounded really good as well. Joe, could I ask you just to point your camera up ever so slightly? Great. Lovely. That's great. Nice. Joe, the heights are looking really excellent. One thing I would just look out for is that it's hard to tell without hearing it, but it looks a little bit like you're launching a little bit fast. So what I mean by that is kind of all of the balls are going up into the air. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you've actually got a really small gap, which means you're juggling faster than you need to. Okay, the whole thing is actually a little bit slower. Okay. So really make sure what you want to be thinking about is the last, the 6th throw. So the first ball you threw, but it's being thrown for the 2nd time, wants to only just happen before the last ball comes in. Okay, so you want to make sure you're filling all of the time that you can, and it will give you a lot more time to think about what's going on. Okay, it will all feel a lot slower, more relaxed, and so it at the moment all looks like it's going up like you've just like throwing pebbles into the air, and then there's a gap while you're waiting for pebbles to come back down. So just really, you can take your time. It's a lot slower than you're juggling at the moment. But the heights are looking excellent, so don't change that one bit. So Jay, just a couple of things for you. What I would think about a little bit is just really try and drop the shoulders a little bit, okay? Because you're juggling nicely down at your elbows, so your shoulders are up slightly, okay? Which is just raising the whole. I'm obviously exaggerating at the moment, but just so you can see what I'm talking about. So I think your ears and your ears and shoulders are quite close together. Really try and bring this down, okay? And it'll let you have a lot more space in the pattern, okay? Because while juggling at the same height, your hands will be lower. So you'll create a bit more room. Okay. The other thing is you can arguably widen your pattern a little bit. Okay. Your pattern's very narrow at the moment. You've got an excellent scoop coming through the middle, and the throws are coming beautifully from your belly button. Okay. But they're not going particularly wide. Okay. You can make your pattern a little bit wider, so you're just catching just out past your hips, not by much, but a little bit out past your hips. And it'll that window we talked about at the top of the pattern, it'll make it a lot wider. It'll give you a lot more space at the top of your pattern, and a lot more room for error, and hopefully it'll lower the collision rate. Does that make sense? Great, cool. Excellent rhythm, Pam. They're really coming down nice and regularly. Good. I'm sure you can hear it in the room, but I'm almost certain you've got nice regular lands on the floor, which is an excellent first step. Rian, some great runs there. What I'm seeing a little bit is almost like a pulsing in the pattern where it kind of is growing and swelling, okay? But it's not like it goes out in one direction and then falls apart. It's like it'll go out a little bit and then you'll correct it, okay? So you're clearly correcting really nicely. What I would really look at is I think maybe it's hard to tell. You've had a few that are twisting, which suggests maybe the accuracy in either your left or your right hand not quite there, because it tends to be that, you know, the accuracy in one hand's like out of phase with the other, and that generally causes a twist. Or it could also just be a little bit about connecting the whole pattern. So the 5-5-5-1-4, I would really, you know, take some time to work into it. Okay, a tricky little pattern, but I think it will really solidify the flow of your whole 5-4 pattern. If you can do, because that's a little bit of an easier pattern to run once you've kind of got your head around it, and I think it'll just really settle in things nicely and kind of lock that consistency in, so that it's not coming and going, and just like up that consistency of fraction. There's some really nice runs in there, particularly I watched there. Tom, you couldn't point your camera just a fraction higher. I'm just losing the very top of your pattern. Yeah, Tom, yeah, if you just point the camera just a fraction upwards, yeah, I just couldn't quite see the top of your pattern, so it's hard to see what was going on. Lovely, thank you. Tom, what I'm seeing at the moment is your right hand throwing quite significantly higher than your left. So I would really do some of them left-handed shower drills to really, I assume it's that way around when it flips, yeah. But just doing lots of left-handed showers, you know, with 3 balls, you know, I don't know whether you've worked on 4-ball shower at all, but even just giving that a little go with your left hand, it's going to be really challenging. And it's going to feel a lot like weightlifting for the left hand, but it's going to really tune it in and also just dial in that accuracy for your left hand. You know, and then again, just them 3-ball flashes and just watching the height when you've got a bit more space in the pattern and you're having less to think about, just to make sure everything's going to the same height. Yeah, definitely the main thing I'm seeing at the moment is the disparity in height. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
No problem.
I've got to shoot off, but thank you very much.
No problem. Great to see you, Joe.
Yeah, nice one. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm off too. Thanks, Lee.
No problem. Great to see you, Francis.
We've got a lot of work to do now.
Excellent.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah,
I also smell dinner, so
fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm gonna
I
collect.
have to cook it.
Usually so do I, but yeah.
We're sorting that out.
Got a lot of Tuesdays. Oh, I'm juggling. I can't cook dinner.
Very good.
I've mistimed this.
Brilliant. Thank you, Lee. Really, really helpful stuff. I think I've made concise enough notes to remember all of it.
Cool.
Yes, Molly, that was excellent. Woo!
Yeah, it was
Molly's
really
amazing.
So yeah, thank you.
Cool. No problem at all. No problem. Yeah.
Ta-da!